Hi readers, I'm Annie. In this video I'm going to be reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR. So the two books that we have picked out, which is the ones that are on sort of like my TBR for March. We've got the highest rated book is Bride by Ellie Hazelwood and the lowest rated book is Bloodstream by Emily Carter. I am so excited for both of these books. I literally cannot wait to read them. I loved doing this the last time I did it because the lowest rated book last time I think was The Bone Crier's Moon, which was the one that I rated higher. These are the two that we have this time and I'm so excited to read these. So let's start with Bloodstream by Emily Carter. Life in the fast lane is not what Faith Jensen expected. As the new social media manager for Revolution Racing, Faith is ready to put her drivers in front of the world. With their sizzling good looks, champagne lifestyles, and charming smiles, it's going to be easy. Julian Mortez is the obstacle she never saw coming, the renowned world champion. He's here to race and he's here to win. Julian detests everything he believes Faith stands for. He has too much at stake to let someone see the real him. But Faith isn't the woman he thought, and Julian isn't the bad boy he shows the world. No matter how hard they try to push each other away, as they discover the people beneath the facade, Faith and Julian could be the most scandalous story of the racing season. This gives me like very similar vibes to the sort of like good girl, bad guy, almost like this fake dating in the sort of sports romance thing. I don't think it's F1, but it is some sort of like motorsport racing, so I really want to see like loads of that in there. And then on the very much flip side to that, we have Bride by Ellie Hazelwood, which is a paranormal Romeo and Juliet, which I am so excited for. Someone said this is part of the Omegaverse, which I'm gonna outright say I don't know like a huge amount about sort of like what that is, like the kind of nuances and such. I'm excited for this one because I love the way that Ellie Hazelwood writes, so I'm like so confident that this is gonna be a great book. Misery Lark, the only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast again. Her days of living in anonymity among the humans are over. She's been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares, and sees little choice but to surrender herself in the exchange again. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Morland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice. And unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Because Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience, reasons that will have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with the wolf. I am so excited to get reading. Let us get straight into it, and I am going to start with Bloodstream by Emily Carter. Let's get some sport up in here. Good morning, guys. So I started reading this last night and I've just got up to chapter 4, which is page 33, so I'm really not very far into this at all. Yeah, last night I was like kind of really thrown off. I've been reading a fair bit of contemporary recently and I've been trying to find a whole load of like motorsport romances. I used to love watching Formula 1 as a kid and I've just kind of recently got back into it. So if you love Formula 1, put a little car emoji down below and let's have a chat. Who are you supporting this year? I want to know because I'm so excited to get back into it. But anyway, back to the book. I've kind of got used to this like format where you kind of like start quite slowly and the first few chapters are like really getting to know your main character and like a little bit more backstory and this, that and the other, whereas this just like throws you straight in. I mean, I think it's like literally page 2 and she's like getting a phone call offering her dream job working for like one of the best teams as a social media person, and she's so excited. And I think because Faith is thrown so far out of her comfort zone like so quickly. I mean, like she's never been on a plane, she's never been out of the UK, you know, so everything is just like so brand new to her. And I think where you meet all the other characters and they are already like quite such a tight-knit group and they're all best of friends and they're all like so vibrant in their personalities, and she's there and she's like, oh my god, like okay. And I think it actually works really well because as a reader you're kind of sat there going, well, I've got no idea what's going on, like I don't know any of these people. Like I already feel like such a connection to Faith because you're literally feeling the exact way that she is meant to be feeling, and I think it actually works really well. We haven't really gotten to any racing. I mean, she's just turned up in Belgium and it's like pre-race weekend or whatever. She's just starting to meet the team. We've met 2 of the drivers, so we've met Brett and Marco. Wait, it's an IEC race, which means nothing to me. It might mean something to somebody. Where's my phone? I'm gonna Google it. No, IEC is an actual thing, I'm just stupid. We've yet to meet Julian, who is our main love interest. They're really giving him a bad impression. They're like, oh, like he's not going to be up for all this like super personal social media stuff. Like, you know, he's a bit of a tough nut to crack. Like he's kind of grumpy. And I feel like we're going to get a little bit of like a grumpy sunshine, which I'm not mad about. I do quite enjoy it as a trope, but I'm enjoying it, but I don't quite know where to put certain bits of pieces right now. I feel like it started really quickly, but I feel like I've been thrown in at the deep end a little bit like Faith. And I think that's why I'm really enjoying her as the main character. Okay, so I've just got to chapter 8, which is page 78. We've met a few more people. We're getting into it a little bit more. I think the drivers have had like a practice session in the cars. We've not really gotten into any kind of like racing yet. I don't know at what point we are going to get some racing or what's happening, but specifically we've met B, who is Faith's like ex-best friend, ex-roommate, ex kind of like podcast buddy, and she left Faith and the podcast to go be a photographer for this team. He seems to be a very interesting character because she seems very much like the two-faced big bad enemy. She has this like previous thing with Julian and he's like, no B, I'm done, like we're not doing this anymore. And then she's like, oh, like wait, you're being serious? It's kind of been this like whole thing. It's just in like this last chapter, chapter 7, and she's like, wait, like you're not serious. And she seems to be like one of these people that like causes drama, gonna post all of this like fake stuff on social media because Faith is a social media expert and that's what she's been brought in to do. And I feel like B being like the team photographer, but then being one of these people that posts all this random stuff on social media, I feel like that's gonna like very much be a huge source of conflict in this book. And I feel like B's previous thing going on with Julian is gonna be a huge thing of conflict. There's a couple of little things being like sprinkled in where it's like, oh, do I want a long-term relationship? Do I not want a long-term relationship with like a couple of the characters, not just our main 2, which I really like because I feel like this could definitely be part of a series. 10:30 at night. Buddy Boy's got some secret, some huge secret. He's basically like living two lives. He's Miley Cyrusing it out here. Excuse me? I'm nearly halfway through. I'm on page 150. I really want to keep going. This is like weirdly addictive. They've done their like first race. Obviously they won. They're like meant to be like the top team. It wasn't like super in depth on like the actual racing, which I feel like for this, I don't really mind so much. Like there isn't like a huge focus on the racing. We're not getting Julian's point of view through the racing. And I kind of don't mind that. I do kind of hope that we get a little bit more of the racing and it becomes like a little bit more of like a thing. I'm not hating it. I don't know. I'm feeling at the moment like this is doing so well for me and I'm really enjoying it. But then there's just like little things. Julian's got this like big secret, like these two halves of his life or whatever, and I feel like that's then gonna feed into why it's such a huge conflict. And I think like not knowing it is like a little bit disorientating. I feel like I need to know why, and I don't like not knowing this. Like I need to know why this is such an issue for you. Alrighty, good morning guys. So I am literally in the process of getting ready because we finally have an in-person book club. I am so excited to see my friends from book club. It has literally been forever since I've seen them. So while I'm getting ready, I thought I would sit down and check in with you guys about Bloodstream. The title is really making zero sense to me, honestly. I don't feel like it really fits. I have a little bit of a gripe with this book at the moment. It's kind of relating to the whole B thing. B has just kind of been off doing her own thing, but she's been like causing mayhem for the last few years or whatever it is that she's been part of the IEC as one of the photographers and this, that and the other, right? We've had a few little snippets where Faith has been saying that like, oh, like me and B used to just like, you know, have girly nights on the sofa and, you know, like we saved up to get like this velvet green sofa that she talks about and says that like she just like always wants to have a velvet green sofa because it reminds her of her childhood, etc, etc. As soon as B starts irritating anyone else in the paddock, people instantly seem to be turning to Faith and being like, oh, well, like you're ex-friends with her, like you can fix her. And I'm like, that is not Faith's job. It is not Faith's job to come in and fix B. And one minute they're all like, you know, angsty with each other and like not like having an argument, but like there's clearly some like tension there. And you know, B wants to get with, oh God, I can't remember his name, Julian. And Julian's like, no. So B at one of the parties is like, oh, I'm gonna accidentally post a picture of Julian and Faith onto social media, knowing full well that like where he's quite a private person, all the fans are gonna be like, oh my God, this is his new girlfriend. She posts that photo with that sole aim. It just seems like such a minor thing in the grand scheme of things. Like I get that he's meant to be this like super private person and is like, oh, you know, I don't really want like people to know about my life and this, that and the other, and like he's got this like huge big secret that like we literally know nothing about. Like what is going on? It doesn't even vaguely add up and I'm so confused. I'm kind of not really here for it. And then like I'm on page 201, which is chapter 18. So they're talking about how like Faith can fix B and she's gonna get her involved in this like women's initiative, which don't get me wrong, like absolutely yes, more of that please. It's this line, this was the perfect way to bring B back in line with her morals. Do you even really know what B's morals are? Like she's just been like out here doing whatever she feels like doing. Can you really sit there and say that you know what B's morals are? We've also just had a bit where Faith has been like, oh, was my entire friendship with B in London like a complete lie? Because as soon as she started gaining followers, she just like didn't really care about me anymore. Why does everyone keep coming to you to fix her? Like she's an adult. If she wants to be fixed, she's capable of doing it herself. Like I get that it's like, I get that it's meant to be like the source of conflict and this, that and the other, but it's just like not landing with me. And I don't know if that's just like a me thing and I'm like, it is not your responsibility to fix other people. just to convenience different people. I'm not really enjoying that part of the book. They're about to do some racing at Le Mans in France. I'm really excited because I really want there to be like a little bit more focus on the racing, because it feels like there just like really isn't. There's very, very little, which like I kind of get is part of the point. But when it's just like, oh yeah, like, you know, everything's crazy and there's like so many fans. Oh yeah, they had a race and won. There is so much more to it than just, oh yeah, they had a race and won. I'm just not really like super duper convinced at like some of the storylines at the moment. But we're gonna keep going. I'm like just about over halfway through. But in book club, we are talking about Kingdom of Ass, which is actually what my camera is currently resting on because nothing is tall enough. I've reread Throne of Glass a fair few times, obviously, where I've now just recently finished Crescent City 3. I'm just like so excited for all of my friends to get to experience that. I thought I would make myself look a little bit pretty today for my friends. This book is so frustrating. I was really enjoying it in like the first section of it, the first few chapters. I think even realistically the first half of it, I was pretty enjoying it. Oh my god, and then it just like feels like it stops. It's so frustrating towards the end because you've got Faith who's kind of going like back and forth, and she's like, do I date him? Don't I date him? Do I want to spend my life with him? Do I not want to spend my life with him? Bear in mind, like, he's not proposed or anything. You don't have to like spend the entirety of your life with him. We finally found out what his big secret is, and I'm like, there was such a better way to do this. I'm so annoyed. I feel like as a reader, something like that, and I'm not gonna spoil it, what the secret actually is, as a reader, it should not be secret from us, okay? As a reader, we should see it from Julian's perspective, and we should kind of like see the development of this and like kind of a bit more as to like why he wants to keep it a secret, and we should know what it is. I get not telling Faith until the point at which he tells her, and that makes sense. Don't keep it a secret from the readers because it's just really annoying, because we're getting both of their point of views from this. It's just frustrating, and it's just silly that we don't get to see it from his point of view and know what it is early on. If that was changed, we kind of knew what it was earlier on, I wouldn't be as frustrated as I am. I've rated this 2 stars. I just can't get on board with this. The second half of it really ruined it for me. The bit that I found really, really funny was the bit at which, like, so he's got a husky that he's named Ford, okay? I have a husky cross Malamute called Nova, alright, and he is the love of my life. I adore him. He's amazing. He asks his husky to leave the room in the epilogue once. He just says, oh, get out. And the dog just does it. I'm like, that's no. It doesn't work like that. Huskies don't just like do anything the first time you ask. You have to ask 8 times for them to realize that you're actually talking to them, and then they might decide if they choose to listen or not, let alone actually do it. So it just kind of made me giggle. That was about the only saving grace of this book. And I think for a sports romance, I need more actual sport in it, because like we were getting Julian's point of view, and yet there was no time with him in the car, in any car, realistically. Even when he was like driving a usual road car, there was no time with him actually driving. There was nothing about the actual sport, except for like from a social media point of view, they were just like waiting for them to get out of the car so they could take pictures of them. And I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, give me the sport. I rated this 2 stars. I really just need to stop thinking about it now. I really want to stop thinking about this because I'm just frustrated now. Moving on, we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Interestingly enough, I have heard this book is a little bit like Marmite. Some people really, really love it. Some people hate it. Apart from the short stories, which I generally don't like short stories anyway, but I've actually yet to dislike anything Ali Hazelwood writes. I have high hopes for this. This is the top rated book on my TBR. Let's see how this goes. Vampires and werewolves, let's go. Okay, so I am just about halfway through. I'm on chapter 16. I am obsessed. I literally cannot get enough of this. This is just perfection. It just really fits in with the rest of Ali's books. Like, it's very much like Ali Hazelwood knows how to get to us now. She practiced in her contemporary books and she's like, do you know what, okay, let me come for you fantasy girlies. And let me show you how it's meant to be done. I am living, breathing, dying for this. I swear I'm obsessed. I realized that I said the other week in my February wrap up that the miscommunication trope is like the literal worst. But I would like to change that statement slightly. The miscommunication trope done badly is the worst, and this is a masterclass. This is full on that Misery is 100% convinced of a very particular thing. Other people have, for all intents and purposes, like confirmed it without like literally saying the words. All of his like seconds and all the other people in the house like surrounding them basically been like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're correct. What you're thinking is correct, right? And they've just like let her carry on. So she is fully convinced of what she believes, except she's wrong. I know she's wrong. I know she's wrong, and I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm obsessed. I'm dying. But because she's not outright said the right specific words to Lo, he hasn't been able to correct her. Miscommunication in like literally the way it should be. Like she's just not saying the exact words in exactly the right place. So she's got no reason to question it. She's got no reason to ask him, hey, is this exactly true? I'm convinced that I'm right. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone because this is astounding. I'm obsessed. This is amazing. Again, it's one of these kind of books that like if I say anything about what's going on at this point, it's gonna kind of ruin everything. I'm really enjoying the storyline of like trying to find Serena and the kind of mystery that's coming along with that. I think that's like super duper interesting. And it's very Ali Hazelwood, okay? In the sense of like there's so many like technical bits and pieces with the way that Misery is like super into technology and super into like computers and hacking and bits and pieces, but also like where she's like taken the time to kind of like figure out the biological differences between her as a vampire and the humans, and where she's kind of like learning what the differences are between the wares now. There is a focus on that biology and that science behind it, and then like there's various bits and pieces where like Lo's like, oh, like this whole thing with mates and this whole thing with dominance and stuff has been like written down in like, you know, science novels, and she's like, I'm gonna need to get hold of that because like I'm gonna need to understand this. And I'm like, yes, it's so Ali Hazelwood because she's like, yeah, there is a science to this. It's not just all like magic and this, that and the other. There's a science to it and I love it. And I have finally finished Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Guess who stayed up way too late last night reading? Me, obviously. I am fully obsessed. This is 5 stars. This is amazing. It's just so Ali Hazelwood in just like the way that normally when you've got like a vampire and werewolf things, okay, granted, like I'm not like hugely invested into like that kind of paranormal stuff anymore as much as it used to be, but like normally it's like, oh, it's magical, there's like some sort of magical element. She's like, no, it's just science. And if that is not Ali Hazelwood, I don't know what is, because it's just so perfect and I love it. I love the way that Ali Hazelwood writes anyway, so I was pretty confident that this was going to be a pretty good pick for me, and I am so happy that I picked up this book, that I read this book. This is amazing. I was screaming, I was laughing, I was giggling, I was feeling all the feelings as I do every time with Ali's books. This was great. This was 100% 5 stars. Like, yes. This deserves to have its good rating. So thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read either of these books, or frankly if you just read this one, because we don't care about this one anymore. That can go on the floor. It's gonna be going out of this house. Let me know if you've read either of the books in this video. What is the top rated book on your TBR for this month at the moment? What's the best rated book on your shelf? Let me know. Let's have a chat. All of my socials are down below. My own book is linked down below, so do go check that out as well. Book 2 is going to be coming later this year. I will give you guys more details when I have them. But thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.